So when you start off with photography and you see the lens prices on the market, you start thinking about selling all your organs. But in this video, I'm gonna show you some great lens alternatives that won't break your bank. My name is Nico, aka trueniko, and let's roll the intro now and then start off with the video. The first lens today here is the Canon 24mm 2.8 pancake lens, and as the name already mentions, it's small like a pancake, it's really tiny, and I used this lens for a very long time and I was so happy with it that I can highly recommend it. So the lens is prime lens at 24mm, and I used it a lot for especially my urban photography, some portraits, and also indoors to shoot some product photos. What's great about the lens is the aperture of 2.8, which lets in enough light, so when you're shooting indoors it's relatively great. And also shooting, for example, with a background like here, the 2.8 allows you still to get a nice bokeh and nice depth in your pictures. The one downside of this lens is that it doesn't have image stabilization, so I don't really use it to film outside. But when filming indoors on a tripod, for example, I really like using this lens because it's so lightweight and also so small and easy to set up, and also allows me to get a nice bokeh in the back. I bought this lens, I think, new for 140 euros, so the lens is relatively cheap in the market, and it's a great way to start off with your photography. The second lens here is a 50mm lens 1.8. And I have two options here for you. So the cheapest option, the one I also own, is made by a Chinese manufacturer. I can't pronounce the name, unfortunately. So the lens runs for around 60 to 70 euros when you buy it new. So it's definitely one of the cheapest lenses on the market. It's obviously, the outside is made of plastic and it doesn't feel very luxurious or very tough. But the inside, it's what counts here. And for starting off, a 50mm lens is very great because you can take nice portraits, and also I use it a lot of times for my street photography because I still could have a greater distance to the people when photographing. And the aperture of 1.8 allowed me to get some nice night shots because the lens lets in a lot of light, and also shooting indoors, the 1.8 is really great. And regarding the sharpness, it's obviously not the sharpest lens on the market, but when starting off, it's not the thing you should worry about in the beginning. So I mentioned there are two options, and the second option is the same lens or similar lens made by most camera manufacturers. So there's a version made by Canon and also made by Nikon. It has also 50mm 1.8, and it costs around 150 to 200 euros, I think, was the recent price I saw. So obviously you're getting a little bit of a better quality and also sharpness, but the differences between those two lenses are not really huge. So I can highly recommend to buy one of those options, and if you really want to go cheap, go for the 60 euro lens. And then last on my list here is a very wide lens. It's the Canon 10 to 18mm 4.0 to 5.6, and it's a wide angle lens, and I used it a lot of times for my urban photography, especially photographing in some tunnels or photographing high buildings, or also some puddles with the reflection of the buildings. It's a really great lens to capture everything you see. And this lens also has image stabilization, so I can recommend using this lens also for filming when you're outside. So at 18mm with the image stabilization, it's a nice lens also for vlogging, for example. This lens runs for around 280 euros when you buy it new, but you can obviously find it cheaper when it's used, and I think I got it for 170 euros when I bought it online. The one thing here in the end to mention is obviously lenses are very expensive, and if you want to buy those cheaper lenses, they're definitely cheaper, but using sites like, for example, MPB, which is not sponsored here, you can get used lenses, for example, or used cameras with a warranty on it, and you save a lot of money, you help the environment, and you also yeah, have nice equipment, and probably you can afford much more than just buying a new lens. And especially with lenses you use in the beginning, which are not very professional lenses, you will probably not use them for many years, so it's definitely worth it to think about using a used lens, because it's not the equipment you'll probably have for the rest of your life. Again, it's not sponsored, I just use this site for a lot of my camera equipment and I was very happy, but there are also different sites you can check out to find used equipment with a warranty on it. So let me know in the comments which lens was your first lens when you started off with photography, or if you haven't started off with photography, which lens from today's video would you buy? And thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.